Hey, welcome into Shopfix, a community joined together for the love of woodworking. In this video, I'm going to be creating a trestle-style dining table for a lady's screen and porch. It's going to be made of this cedar, and so I'm going to be detailing the process on how to create these legs. There's going to be a top and a base to it, and so I'll create that after I cut this out. For the top and bottom of the trestle post, I penciled in 45-degree bevels, which would create decorative triangle indentions once they're all cut out. I also etched in 2 coves, one large and one smaller, which I'm tracing out here with a compass. I had a lot of fun creating this design, and although it worked really well, there are a countless number of designs you can create, many which would look even better than the ones I created here. Alright, so I had the first step of these table legs complete. I've scribed the design, the form and the length is correct. All I gotta do is cut out the design now on the bandsaw. The easiest ones are these triangles. That's really easy to cut. Obviously these coves are a little bit more tricky, and so I'll show you how that process goes. So let's get to it. To complete the entire cove design, I repeated the bandsaw cuts on 3 out of the 4 sides. You simply have to rotate the piece to a side that still has your design traced in. Once you get to the 3rd cut, you'll need to make sure to keep these offcuts intact. We will then take those offcuts and place them back on. We will need these to reference our cut lines for the 4th and final bandsaw cut. To make sure these offcuts don't move out of position, I need to secure them down with clear tape. Now we have the proper reference lines to make our 4th and final cove cuts. This whole process actually worked way better than I expected, and even with a rough bandsaw cut, the design came out really well. I think the best thing to do is practice designs on a cheaper spare board to get a design down that you really like and are able to cut out accurately like I've done here. I also think it's good practice to leave your cuts just short of the mark so you can dial them in with a chisel, because if you cut past a line, it's nearly impossible to fix. Sanding the coves was actually fairly easy. The trick is to use a sanding flap wheel chucked into a power drill. After I fully sanded the coves, I also hand sanded the triangle indentions and rounded over the edges. Creating these cove trestle posts was one of the toughest things I've done to date, and I was really proud of the way they turned out. The trestle legs were far from complete though. It was time to create the base of the trestle legs. After testing out several designs on spare boards, I finally landed on one that I really liked. This design only needed to be cut along the profile of the board, which made it much easier to cut than the trestle post. After the design was fully cut, I sanded them just like I did the post and used a sanding flap wheel. Well, with the 2 trestle bases done, it was time to create the 2 trestle top pieces. To create these, I first trimmed down some 6x6 cedar to 4 inches, so that way it would be slightly smaller in thickness than the base. I used a jointer as well as the planer to get a nice smooth uniform surface on all sides. I wanted the top piece to have some style, but I also wanted to retain most of the lumber, which was a simple elongated roundover look. This cut was by far the easiest to make out of all 3. There are so many possibilities when it comes to these trestle legs, and I hope you can see how simply getting some inspiration and exploring some designs on test boards can lead to some amazing creations. These table legs are definitely proving to be as challenging as I thought they would be, maybe even more so. Moving on from here, I'm going to start assembling these all together. And we're going to be using dowel rods, and I think that's going to be the most sturdy way to connect them. So I'm going to be drilling holes in the base, the top, and the middle. And then the dowel rod is going to sink in about 4 inches on either side, and it's going to be glued in there. So that's what I'm going to get to next. I began this process by securing tape in place across where the dowel will be roughly located. The center punch will mark the wood as well as make a small reference hole in the tape. After placing this piece on top, I began to line it up so that it's positioned in the middle of the board. This will be the final placement in the end, so it's important that this is measured as accurate as possible. Once that final placement has been made, I will need to carefully remove the tape and transfer it to the other piece. I flip the leg over and then use a center punch to mark the location of the hole through the tape. I can now drill the hole out for the dowel pin. I use a drilling jig to ensure that my drill stayed as close to 90 degrees as possible. Sharpening my auger bit well prior to drilling made this process much simpler as well. Once that was done, I then drilled a hole of equal depth into the base by utilizing the depth stop on the drilling jig, which I set prior to drilling. With both of these holes drilled, it was time to get the dowel pins ready for the glue up. So I've used large dowel pins and glue ups like this in the past, and what I've found is that if it's too snug, the glue won't have enough room and oftentimes the dowel will set too quickly and not seat properly. To ensure this doesn't happen, I sanded the dowel to a slightly thinner diameter so it would have a looser fit and allow for plenty of glue within the joint. Once the dowel pin was fitting correctly, it was time for the glue up. I began by placing glue within the hole of the base and coating the edges by using a Q-tip. I did the same for the hole in the post as well. The dowel pin also got a coating of glue, and once that was spread around, I placed it within the hole of the base. I'm obviously deliberately over applying the glue here because I'd rather wipe off any excess than to not have enough and have an improper glue up. I used 4 parallel clamps to secure the post, dowel, and base all into place. After removing the 4 parallel clamps, I had myself a solid base for my custom trestle table. To further increase the durability of these trestle legs, I also decided to drive in 2 6-inch screws up to the base, and I'm not sure how much they'll help, but at least they're there for added protection. Now I'll need to secure the top trestle board to the post. Before we can get to the dowel joinery, however, I need to create a dado for the final half lap joint that will join the 2 legs together and create a solid table foundation. The first step in this process was to create a large dado in the very top of the trestle leg. The width of this dado needed to match that of the beam, which will span across the middle and join the trestle legs together. These pieces are 4 inches in thickness, which left plenty of room for a large dado while also leaving plenty of wood to ensure it keeps its strength. After marking the location of the dado to the adjoining board, I went back to the table saw to complete the dado cut. I'm using a 1/4 inch thick dado stack here along with my table saw crosscut sled, and with one more pass, I now have both dado slots cut for the crossbeam that will span between the trestle legs. Then I traced the ends of the dado, which will act as my next cut lines. For this dado cut, I will be using the miter saw as the 4x4 seater is far too long for the table saw and crosscut sled. Your miter saw will need to be equipped with a depth stop to properly cut a large dado like this, as the depth stop is what prevents the blade from slicing all the way through. To complete this dado, I simply slid the board down until I cut out to the reference line I previously marked out. The miter saw leaves a pretty rough surface on the wood, so I use a 3/4 chisel to clean it all up and get it smooth and flat. With the adjoining dado cuts now complete, I needed to work on the dowel joinery that would help connect all 3 of these pieces together. Essentially, once the center punch has marked the wood, the tape then acts as the reference mark for the adjoining piece. I then used the center punch, referencing the hole in the tape, to mark the trestle leg post. Now it was time to drill the holes for the dowels. Since I want the dowel to go all the way through the post and up to the beam, I needed to drill this hole while the trestle piece was mounted inside the dado. I also clamped on a reference board on the bottom so that my auger bit wouldn't tear out the wood when it came out the other side. With the hole drilled into the crossbeam, it was now time to create the hole in the post. I set the depth stop on the Milescraft drilling guide to drill at a 3-inch depth. I numbered all the boards prior to drilling with either a 1 or 2, and also marked which way to orientate them so that I can align them all correctly for the glue up. For this glue up, I needed to apply glue along the trestle post and the dowel pin hole first. Once I had the top piece set into place, I then could take the dowel pin and mount it within the hole. This 1-inch oak dowel will join the trestle post and top together, and also provide extra strength for the half lap joint in the crossbeam, which will not be glued into place. Well, with both trestle legs fully glued and joined together with the dowels, it was time to fit and secure the 4x4 cedar crossbeam. After measuring the distance between the trestle legs, I aligned the holes with the dowels and set everything into place. Once the beam was fully set, I used a Japanese flush cut saw to trim the dowels to their final size. I'm loving how this table is shaping up so far. I put so much work into those trestle legs, and now that the table's coming together, I think they're really starting to pop out. I got the support beam in, and I was gonna put a support beam across the bottom as well. However, I don't think it's gonna be necessary. So I might go with the 4x4 down the middle as my main support structure of the table and mount it with hardware. After a long search on Amazon, I found some 3mm L brackets that would fit on either side of the beam. These brackets also help minimize any racking forces from side to side. I took it one step further and decided to also drive in 4 3.5-inch screws. At this point, the foundation of the trestle table was complete, and it was time to move on to securing the figure 8 tabletop fasteners. To complete the installation efficiently, I created a simple jig. The jig has a hole the exact diameter of the figure 8 fastener and is used to align the hole to the exact spot you'd like the figure 8 fastener to be located. The remaining wood on the edge will need to be chiseled away as to allow plenty of room for the fastener to rotate as the wood expands and contracts. Since this jig references the side of your workpiece, the placement of the figure 8 fastener will always be perfect as long as you have some way of locking in the depth. If you've been wondering why the heck I'm in my kitchen instead of the shop, the simple answer is that I needed more working room and also a dust-free area to apply the final coats of boiled linseed oil to the trestle table base, while at the same time working on the benches in my shop. With the final coats applied, I began to install the figure 8 fasteners all the way around the table base, and in the end I had 22 fasteners installed. Later on, once I had the slab tabletop completed, I aligned and positioned it on top of the base and drilled small pilot holes for the final screws. This trestle table is 9 feet long, and for the ease of delivery, I decided to rent a 10-foot U-Haul truck, which increased the overall cost but made the process so much simpler because I got to leave the base completely assembled. My dad and I successfully delivered it to the client's house and even managed to flip the huge slab top onto the base all by ourselves. In fact, I think it's the heaviest thing I've ever made. Well, once we had it positioned on top, the final step was to drive in screws into the pilot holes I made. Building these trestle legs was quite the endeavor, I must say, and I had to push my woodworking skills to the next level on nearly every step of the project. Table legs such as these can add unique character to a living space, and rather than blending in, they can stand out and become a centerpiece to a room. Thank you for watching. I'd love it if you all gave me a like, and I encourage you to check out another one of my videos. Your support helps fuel my future projects. Well, that's all for now. Bye.